Good morning, everybody. Great. Um, so welcome to the Affordable Multifamily Program Upstate training. Today we'll be talking about the Clarity Compass tool. So it's 10:04 now. Maybe we'll go ahead and get started, give you all an idea of the overview of what we'll cover today. Next slide, please. Great. So my name is Michelle. I'm a project manager in the multifamily um, program, and today we're going to give you an overview. We'll start with a bit of a housekeeping, so I'll give you guys a sense of how this Teams webinar will work. Then we'll move into a little bit of an announcement about an upcoming training later this week. We will have some time to go over an introduction of the Affordable Multifamily Program in the upstate region. And then we will go into the actual tool training. And we'll leave time at the end for questions. So we'll have a nice chunk of time at the end for anything that comes up throughout the training. Next slide. So today we're on Teams webinar, so there might be a few new functions to keep in mind. So through Teams, this meeting will be recorded. It's being recorded right now, and we will make that recording and the copy of the slide deck available after the webinar. And in the meantime, you all have been muted by default, so we'll leave everybody muted. If a question does come up during the Q&A session and you want to come off mute, just raise your hand and we'll be able to allow it so that you can come off mute. If you're on the phone, the way to do this is to press *6. Feel free to ask questions throughout the presentation, but know that the bulk of the questions will be answered towards the end of the presentation. And if we run out of time and don't have enough time to answer every question, we will send out responses to those questions with the slides and the recording. So everybody's questions will get answered. If you do want to ask a question throughout the webinar, the chat function, which you'll find in the bottom left-hand corner, is where you can do that. So go ahead and type that in there. We'll make note of the question and we will either answer it throughout the presentation or again towards the end. Great. And then the next slide. So some of you all may be registered for the complementary component to this webinar, which was the AMP Up Tools training set for later this week for the East tool specifically. It was meant to be on the 11th. So we just wanted to let you all know that there's actually been a change to that training and it's actually going to be rescheduled. We will reach out to you all with the rescheduled date. So keep an eye out on your inbox for that rescheduled training, but that invitation should go out promptly. Sorry for any inconvenience about that. Great, and with that, I will pass it over to Pamela.
Thanks, Michelle. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for taking a bit of time out of your schedule to join us today. We're excited to be able to kind of do this introduction and have a tool training on one of the tools that we'll be using for the new Affordable Multifamily Program Upstate. Just to set the stage, during the Clean Energy Fund portfolio, the utilities were offering a program called AMEEP, which was the Affordable Multifamily Energy Efficiency Program for LMI customers statewide. They did, moving ahead into the Energy Efficiency and Building Electrification portfolio, which has been coined the EEBE portfolio for 2026 through 2030. We were directed to split our LMI customers between upstate and downstate in terms of eligibility and program offerings. So Con Edison, National Grid will continue to offer the AMEEP program downstate, and NYSERDA will be offering this affordable multifamily program upstate, which we have coined AMP Up. We all love our acronyms. So I just wanted to kind of set the stage a little bit so you understand kind of the lay of the land and where projects are expected to kind of fall. And then we'll dive right in here and get right into some of the program information for you. So, in preparation for this kind of shift to program offerings, NYSERDA held several stakeholder engagements and events, and we pulled a lot of feedback that we've received from past programs as well to work on developing kind of what we intend to offer for our upstate LMI customers. We ended up developing four main program goals. Those being just, we really heard the cry for the need to streamline the customer journey. We need to be able to provide flexibility to meet the owners kind of where they're at. We need to make sure that we're maintaining tenant affordability and taking an efficiency first approach to our offering. During the research period of development, NYSERDA also found that projects with regulatory agreements from housing agencies, kind of in their mid-financing term, and naturally occurring affordable housing projects, particularly common in smaller buildings, had the biggest need for assistance in terms of improving the building efficiency. So the program that we're proposing uses existing networks, including our MREP and owners services contractors as our participating contractors, and local hubs and community-based organizations to get the word out on the street about the program offering. The program intends to offer technical assistance and end-use incentives to provide concierge service to projects that need an extra hand to participate, and will be the first program to offer resiliency enhancement incentives, sorry. The resiliency enhancements are intended to protect the efficiency and clean energy investments made throughout the program. NYSERDA is proposing to offer climate resilience enhancements in the form of additional incentives for certain qualifying projects. Projects meeting certain climate hazard eligibility criteria may be eligible for financing through the resilience enhancements. They aim to reduce current and future climate risk from flooding, extreme heat, and from wind. Furthermore, we also recognize the need to support difficult to develop DAC pipelines. So in August of 2025, we launched the PHA Pathway, which offers personalized support from an energy service provider over a 12-month period to analyze their portfolio and for energy and cost savings opportunities. The pathway is going to provide opportunities for peer-to-peer learning and facilitated workshops to help them learn about energy conservation and energy efficiency programs. And it will also provide a seamless transition from technical assistance to implementation programs. The AMP Up program intends to make it easier than ever for multifamily building owners and property managers to improve energy performance and prepare for a low carbon future. Navigating these retrofit projects can be complex and overwhelming, so the overarching idea was simple: to remove as many barriers as possible and to make comprehensive building upgrades achievable and rewarding for owners and managers throughout upstate New York. The program has been designed to feature a streamlined customer journey built around a complementary embedded technical assistance and an available concierge-style support. From the first conversation through the project completion, participants will have access to trusted experts who can guide them every step of the way. Incentives are available for 4 measure categories ranging in complexity, from prescriptive to weatherization to building electrification and deep energy retrofits. And as we talked about on the previous slide, we also have that added bonus of resilience enhancements to eligible projects. All incentives are stackable, so that allows our customers to access multiple incentive levels, meeting their needs, whether they're big or small. AMP Up proposes to offer financial incentives to support technical assistance, energy efficiency, and building electrification upgrades, as well as those resiliency enhancements to affordable multifamily projects in upstate New York with 5 or more units that are paying into the system's benefits charge on either their gas or electric utility bill. Projects must consist of one or more buildings that have been in operation for more than 12 months. And we are allowing mixed use buildings to participate. However, they must have at least 50% or more of their gross heated square footage be residential or residentially associated. Any project with more than 150 units will be will need to contact the program for pre-authorization prior to applying. This just allows us to manage our budget and will help us to inform our team of the volume of work that's anticipated to come their way. In terms of the LMI criteria for this program, in buildings up to 10 units, 50% or more of the building must be less than or equal to 80% AMI or SMI, whichever is higher. And for buildings with 11 units or more, we're looking at 25% of the building coming in at or below 80% AMI or SMI, again, whichever is higher. And then last but not least, all projects must use participating contractors to enter the program. So that's all of you. So thanks again for being here for the training. We'll dive in just a little bit more on program development now. So we did a lot of research in preparation to release the program. The research that was performed identified that more than 50% of the multifamily building stock in upstate New York has a minimum of 5 units, and it falls within the 5 to 19 unit building category, which we do anticipate that most of those or many of those will be 3 stories or less. Some of those common obstacles that we found historically for these smaller multifamily buildings to participate in incentive programs is that they typically need more support. They offer little economies of scale. And they can oftentimes be difficult to reach. And therefore, contractors tend to focus on the larger properties. So we had to stop and think about how we can kind of flip the screens, flip the pattern on that. So our solution to handling these smaller buildings is to develop a low-rise pathway through the AMP Up program. For the purposes of this pathway, projects are defined as having 5 to 20 units and will be between 1 and 3 stories. We're proposing to better target and support these multifamily properties by utilizing local actors to help with the initial engagement with these smaller building owners. We are piloting the use of local clean energy hubs to find and engage with those smaller buildings. And then we're going to continue to use our relationship with many of the local community, the CBOs, to inform kind of this unique grouping of buildings about the program offering. The concierge service, which provides enhanced support services, was developed with these smaller buildings in mind. We'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide. Also wanted to highlight that we are working with PSD on creating an alternative for building energy modeling using the Clarity Compass tool, which we're here to learn about today. It's expected that this tool will help to streamline projects wishing to pursue electrification and deep retrofit measure categories, which ultimately is expected to save time, effort for the contractor and should result in quicker and more affordable projects for these buildings. Additionally, overall, the incentive cap is being proposed to be increased from 70%, which is kind of the standard building standard program offering, up to 85% of the total scope of work. We're also looking at making the initial incentive payment greater for these smaller buildings to try to get some money into their hands to allow those projects to continue through construction. Kind of keep that in the back of your mind because we're going to talk about that a little bit more in just a few slides. And then lastly, I just wanted to really quickly highlight the graphic that's on the right, not meant there to kind of make your brain go crazy, but I thought this was a really nice way to kind of put into perspective where I think a lot of these buildings are going to be coming from. So it's just a visual to kind of give you an idea of the portion of units in the upstate region that contributes to these smaller building categories. As you can see, if you kind of follow from left to right, The regions with the highest potential for volume are located in the Finger Lakes, the Mid-Hudson, and the Western New York regions. Certainly, all of the regions are contributing to these smaller buildings, but that's just where the higher volume of projects appear to be coming from. So I've mentioned participating contractors a few times. So I want to pause here and just take a minute to explain what that means. In a nutshell, I'm just talking about all of you. There will be two ways for projects to participate in AMP Up, either through the traditional route using our MREP contractor, or through a complementary concierge service. Again, the concierge service was built with smaller buildings in mind, knowing that they may need more support services. However, ultimately, we are not proposing to limit this service to smaller buildings. Concierge services are being supported through our Owner's Rep program, which will assign a contractor to each project who shows interest, and will work with them on a pre-established scope of work. So support service may include program application, compliance guidance, building assessments, capital fund guidance and analysis, contractor selection support, construction monitoring, and project closeout. MREP is our more traditional approach to participation in our incentive offerings. The building owner or developer can choose from a list of our pre-approved MREP contractors and then enter into a contract with them directly. There is a basic list of services that the MREP contractors will need to provide for participation in the program, which is summarized here on the slide. But the nice part about the MREP pathway through the program is that if there are additional services that buildings need that aren't really covered under this program, the MREP contractors are able to contract directly with the owner to provide those additional services, since that contract itself is not managed by NYSERDA. I did want to touch really briefly on the customer journey. I don't want to go into a lot of detail here, but just to give you a quick snapshot of what the process will be going through the program. We are expecting to have several different avenues of customer engagement. As mentioned earlier, we are piloting using our hubs to contact and engage with some of those buildings. We're going to continue to work with local CBOs to get the word on the street about the program offering. We do have a live program website already, which will continue to be developed as we come closer to launch of the program. We also will be doing some marketing in-house, and I would anticipate that you all, as providing contractors, may be doing some outreach on your own. And then we do have plans to start to work with some of our common lenders to make sure that they're aware that this program offering exists, so that they can work with their customers as they come in for loans and let them know that this avenue is available for them. All of those engagements will be passed along to you all, so either to our concierge service or directly to our MREP contractors, in which you'll then submit an application through the common application process through Salesforce for AMP Up. We'll then, once we review the application, verify eligibility, we'll then schedule a scoping session call with you and the building owner, which essentially just will identify likely measures. We can talk a little bit about if resiliency enhancements are available to this project. We'll review program requirements, kind of go over roles and responsibilities, and then discuss what the potential program incentives could look like. If everybody's in agreement there, we'll move into providing a preliminary incentive offer letter, which essentially will just earmark those anticipated funds for your project to continue through the program. You can immediately start working on scope development after we hold that scoping session call and you receive your preliminary incentive offer letter, at which time we expect that you'll be completing your building assessment or building audit, whichever is required by the program, work with the owner to determine what the final scope of work will be. You'll work on completing required program tools and submitting those for review and approval. And then ultimately, once everything is approved by the program, we'll issue a final incentive offer letter. Along with that, you'll also get a notice to proceed to construction. We do have an optional milestone 2 payment that is kind of like a mid-construction inspection. Again, optional. So if you wish to pursue this, that's great. We're here to support that. You are also able to skip that milestone if you so wish. In terms of the trigger for that milestone, we're looking at having either 30% of the savings, the total savings in the approved scope of work has been installed, or that equipment representing 50% of the total savings of the scope of work is on site so that we can come in and verify the equipment and making sure that that all matches what the proposed scope of work indicated. Moving into construction completion, so our milestone 3, obviously at this point, 100% of the approved scope of work needs to be installed and should be functional. The project should be ready for program inspection. We'll look to have you submit updated program tools and final scope changes. All final invoices and required statements of substantial completion will be submitted at this time. It will go through our QA process. We will work with you if we need to go on site to perform an on-site inspection. And once we get through that approval process, then the final incentive will be issued. So just jumping really quickly right into the incentive schedule, just to give you an idea of what that looks like. Again, we have several different measure categories or incentive categories. So we have our end use incentives with our measure categories. We have resiliency enhancements if they're applicable to your project. And we do have technical assistance incentives as well. So to support the cost of the building assessments, participating contractors are being provided additional technical assistance incentives, which will provide up to 100% of the cost of the building assessment or audit, which is required by the program. The table to the right kind of gives you an idea of when those incentives will be paid out. We have decided to change the incentive offerings based on your unit size, your project size. So we're looking at 5 to 20 units. Milestone 1 right now is looking to be like it's going to be 50% of the total end use incentive. And then 25% at milestone 2, 25% at milestone 3. If you're 21 or more units, then you'll follow kind of that second line in those last 3 columns in the table. Right now, all of the resiliency enhancements are scheduled to be incentivized after completion. It is important to note that program details for all components and aspects of this program are subject to change. We are still working on fine-tuning the final program offering and receiving appropriate approvals. So all of the information that's being presented here today, while we hope it is final, details may change. And obviously, once we get the final approval, more details will be out about what the program looks like and what the offering looks like. But just kind of wanted to give you a really quick overview of what that incentive looks like, or what the incentive schedule looks like. Also, incentives haven't been approved yet, so I can't share with you quite yet what those are going to be. But, again, working from bottom to top, so prescriptive is your entry level. Weatherization incentives should be more than prescriptive. Electrification incentives will be more than the weatherization. And then the deep retrofit incentives are currently being proposed as being just a little bit more than the electrification incentives. And then just to give you a sense of kind of where we're falling or what we're looking at in terms of offerings for eligible measures, subject to change. As of this morning, I still haven't heard if version 13 of the TRM has been approved yet. Obviously, this program is being launched in Q1 of 2026, so we'll be following the guidance of version 13 TRM. And so this is just a really quick snapshot of kind of what we're looking at right now, subject to change based on, TRM offerings at this point. Then lastly, just to close out, wanted to go over just the ability to stack incentives and to phase scopes of work. So each of these incentive categories, the prescriptive, the weatherization, the electrification, the deep deep energy retrofit are all stackable. So it's not one or the other. So there's an incentive offering for prescriptive. If you meet prescriptive requirements, you get that incentive offering. If you want to add weatherization measures onto that, that's a stackable incentive. That can be done all at the same time or it can be spread across the program offering. So in this example here, you'll see like in 2026, maybe we have a building that wants to do some entry-level prescriptive measures. Moving into 2027, they want to add on the weatherization, so they're eligible for that. And then in 2030, they think it's time to electrify. They want to go forward with doing some heating, cooling, and domestic water heating. Ultimately, all of those incentives are stackable again throughout the phase of the project, throughout the phase of the program, or stackable all at once if the project is ready to move forward with that right away. Again, really quick overview of the program. More details will be released. We'll have another training with more details on the program offering, but wanted to kind of set the stage before we jump into the tool training with PSD on the Clarity Compass tool. So at this time, I think we're going to take a really quick 5-minute break just so that we can get our slides together to switch presenters, and we'll jump right into the Clarity Compass tool at about 10:35. So please plan on coming right back, and we'll see you shortly. All right, everyone, I am back. It is 10:35, so we're going to go ahead and move on with the presentation. And I wanted to introduce to you Esteban, who is going to be doing the presentation on the Clarity Compass tool. Take it away.
Hello, everyone. It's nice to be with you here today. I'm Esteban Oropesa. He's the building performance engineer. I'm going to introduce you to Clarity Compass as it pertains to the program. So we can start. Oh, sorry. Brief on the agenda. These are the big sections we will see today. So first, the tool intent and the modeling approach, which are the theoretical background that is used by our tool. Then the workflow, the step-by-step that should be followed when pursuing measures applicable to the use of the tool, and then further help places and tools that you can use. All right. So very big picture. The tool intent is really to reduce overhead, simply because some measures usually fall in a non-fit box, which could be a very small single-family model, a very detailed commercial energy model, or simply a very monstrous spreadsheet. So we're trying to avoid that. The goals of the tools is first to be an accessible cross-collaboration platform for diversity of contractors, engineers, and program directors to develop cost-effective electrification and deep retrofit projects, as already mentioned, leveraging standard performance simulation. It also provides a reporting stack that allows direct analysis using proposals, assessments, QA and truing up, as well as program submission, and really to just enhance communication with owners and tenants all across. So in the overall scheme of things, this is where PSD's Clarity Compass enters in the overall workflow. So again, if the measures are following electrification, deep retrofit, whether really like a bundle of measures that speak to electrification or deep retrofit, that's where the use of Compass is relevant. Compass will allow you to export an EAST report that can be imported to the EAST tool. In a way, all the information you were able to access with Compass and the projects and measures are parsed into EAST. So this tool is integrated into the overall end-to-end reporting of the measures assessed. Now, the modeling approach. The tool uses an OpenStudio HPXML-based simulation, and that is for standardizing the outputs of the energy model that plays on the back end of the tool. It uses a small multifamily use case as a basis to validate the inputs and make the hourly, yearly runs for all the building systems in a streamlined fashion. Other important aspect of this modeling approach is that it doesn't take a full 3D model. Instead, it reduces the 3D geometry creation into simplified inputs in a form-based. So you collect areas, orientations, exposed perimeters, floor counts, really like takeoffs for the different spaces you have in a building in such a way that you create unit types. We will talk about unit types all throughout this presentation. It's a core concept of the modeling, and the user will describe its whole building on a unit type basis. So all the calculations are done at this level, and then can then be later rolled up to a whole building level. This is a process that happens again automatically. It's how the tool works, but it's important to understand as it trades that layer of abstraction to waive all the general complications about creating a full 3D model. So and yeah, just finally, I would say this is very powerful, and you'll see why when we see the results and the outputs. But it basically allows the user to do a bulk of energy simulations, keeping the rules, the building physics that drive thermal loads in a way that it reduces error. So the workflow can be understood in two levels. There's a part about defining the existing building, of course, at a whole building and at a unit type level. And there's the side of improvement. So two main categories of improvement, the ones regarding envelope, which are packaged, and the ability also to implement equipment and appliance measures on top of those packages. We will talk a lot about what a package is and what's the logic behind that. But the overarching understanding of the tool is you have these two improvement categories for each of the two levels, at whole building and at the unit type level. So the whole building describes the site and the overall features, for example, size, form, foundation, general context characteristics that can apply and impact all the unit types. So it's all the shared attributes of the building description. And then the unit types are groups of tenant spaces or common areas, or really all any kind of spaces sharing the same starting conditions and improved conditions. I will try to exemplify this shortly, but yeah, but basically spaces that share orientation, envelope exposure, use, internal load, which are subject to the same type of improvements and measures, all can be grouped in this unit type concept. So the user can see the results in a parametric level, and the savings can be scaled up seamlessly. Now, the envelope packages are predefined sets of improvements that are compared to the existing building, and they work in tiers. So they scope really all pertaining to envelope, ceiling, insulation in different levels of enhancements. I'll show you this shortly, what each package looks like. And then equipment and appliances add on top of those packages, and they scope HVAC heat pumps, domestic hot water, kitchen appliances, ventilation, and some other things related to electric consumption. So for existing building setup, some of the things that are defined, they're generally speaking, the things that are defined at an envelope level, site and envelope level, is the footprint and the height of the building, the predominant floor to ceiling heights for the different stories of the building, site context shading, air tightness levels, types of attic and foundation, types of wall construction, window to wall ratios, predominant doors and window types, and a percentage, what's the percentage of envelope surface area that's already improved for each of the different assemblies. So general descriptors of the building, right? And then for system and appliances, the user needs to talk about the primary heating and cooling system types and fuel sources, as well as their age, thermostat schedules, duct system type and state, the hot water usage, system type, distribution, and fuel sources, as well as the kitchen appliances and the fuel sources used. For unit types, a unit type again is a like a minimal prototypical piece that can characterize the model. So when we are at the point at creating unit types, we will have these options available. So above grade or below grade living space, central laundry, common area, corridor, or living unit with attic knee walls for spaces in Cape Cod style multifamily houses that have knee walls. All those are like prototypical shells of unit types, and they of course require slightly different inputs, but the general ones, just give you a picture, and we will see this in the UI, but the number of units of that type, of course, bedrooms and bathrooms, if it's a living space, what are the foundation connection types, what type of horizontal connection that unit has with the other adjacent rooms, that is for floors and ceilings, what are its exposed perimeters in each orientation, and what is the average floor to ceiling height for that unit type. So let's talk a little bit more detail about envelope packages. Again, these are predefined tiered bundles of measures, and they are ordered in a load reduction priority. Here, it's very important to say bundle does not mean all or nothing, in that the scope of those bundles can be adjusted through allocation of areas and other type of selections of certain inputs. And what this enables, of course, is to see that multi-scenario comparison of these different packages versus the existing building. And this increases the ability to QA our retrofit measures and to automate the way the information is input. So here you can see a table of those packages. There will be two tables, as the order of the packages is different for wood frame buildings and masonry frame buildings, simply because they have a different load reduction priority in terms of cost effectiveness. So these are the measures that may or may not be included or on each packages, but the packages work like gates that unlock more enhanced improvement in that sense of load reduction. So if you see here, package one scopes, the full scope can include the first set of measures. If the measures that are being assessed consider walls and foundations insulation, then the user would use a package 2, right? Because that package 2 allows the user to parse those measures into the simulation. And then the same for package 3. Package 3 is the most comprehensive tier and can scope any of these measures, or ceiling, duct leakage insulation, attic surface insulation, roof insulation, all types of insulation for different envelope surfaces. Then at the end, the improvements for windows and doors. Again, this is ordered in such a way that it it orients the user on what's more cost effective for load reduction. So it's streamlined in that sense. And then, well, this column here, input type, is just meant to show you, and I'll go in detail when we see each measure, right? But the way the different scopes of the different measures can be adjusted, either by some area allocation or by adjusting the selection of the different drop downs respective to each of those measures. A quick note here, for some of these measures again have some caveats and should be considered in line with the program requirements as they change. So there's a degree of flexibility in the tool that needs to be managed carefully, always to maintain the rules of the program as for each measure that is allowed. And what I was saying earlier, for masonry frame buildings, you see that the priority there changes. So walls would really come into the last, more enhanced package, just as a result of a cost effectiveness. So the user really just needs to know what each package includes to be able to select and scope correctly what they're looking into. And then the way these envelope packages also work to adjust the scope is with area allocation and R value allocation, at least for all that is insulation of surfaces, right? So there will be different definitions in the different terms in the tool that can be understood in this way. We have what's out of scope. We call it, that's either in the tool that's either already fully insulated or will not be insulated because it can't be insulated for any reason, right? We have those two words for what it's out of scope of the improvement. And then what it's in scope in terms of area allocation is just called to be improved and is user entered. R value allocation works similarly, but the to be improved R values can take either a poorly or partially current R value. You need to understand that in order for the simulation to work, it needs an existing baseline value and then the improvement definition. But for the existing current state of the building, the R value, the insulation value for the surfaces, is being classified in these two categories because that's based on what's typically seen on existing buildings. The specific values underlying each of these assumptions are of course provided in the technical materials and support materials for the user to dig in, but the way the user will navigate into the tool, it would be presented in such a way that is streamlined, and you don't need to you won't be asked for a specific R value, but will choose between two different possible existing states for the baseline, for the existing building baseline. And out of scope again is the same, right? What is already fully insulated, it has a value, right? It is not being treated because it's up to code already. And what cannot be insulated needs to be defined by the user because there's a lot of variability there, and that of course has a strong impact on what the baseline is. So yes, you can see that it's the modeling is trying to narrow the use case so that the user doesn't need to deal with so many inputs. And for equipment and appliances on the other side, any of these measures is that selected by the user is applied to all three packages. So in the end, and when we see the reports, you'll be able to understand this. The user will have a full comparison between the different scenarios of the packages and how that those equipment and appliance measures impact the different building scenarios. So it's a way to see the sensibility and the benefit of applying equipment measures given different starting building thermal load conditions. These are here listed, right? So for at the whole building level, measures that scope hot water, kitchen and ventilation, including heat pump water heaters, low flow fixtures, aerators and shower heads. That is replacing the fridge for the kitchen, and for ventilation. There's a note here, of course. There's the ventilation supports. It's a little bit flexible, but currently supports the replacements on the mechanical ventilation and energy recovery. Again, it should be considered, the ventilation measure should be considered in terms of what the program requirements are. So as for today, I think the case is that this is just to be used in line with the overcladding measure, which has some HRV requirements, air balance requirements, and continuous kitchen and exhaust airflow requirements. So you can use that ventilation measure to be in line with the requirements of the overcladding measure. And in the unit type level, we provide a heat pump installment measure. So here is all the available measures at the different levels. At whole building level, we have envelope for air sealing, duct and leakage insulation, with some caveats there. Attics surface insulation, roof insulation, rim joist insulation, walls insulation, foundations insulation, all about insulation. For equipment and appliances, we have the hot water fixtures and the heat pump water heater. Kitchen replace the fridge. Ventilation adjustments for other measures. And at unit type, for envelope sake, that's where windows improvements are done, as well as doors improvements. And the HVAC side, that is install the heat pumps for the dwelling units. This is a map of all the measures that can be done through the tool. Again, just to recap here, envelope follows the package approach. Equipment and appliances are added on top of those packages. So at the end, the user can see a deck of building scenarios and how the equipment interacts with different envelope characteristics. Okay, so now we can dive into what the concept of unit type. Hope this image makes it clearer. But yeah, the unit types are groupings of, in this example, right? Units in different floors, right? And different orientation. So we have a studio here, 3 units that are essentially all of those are studios. So they can be grouped in the same unit type. Then we have a one bedroom apartment that it's in the corner, right? So 3 units have those same characteristics. That can be a different unit type. And then a third type of apartment which is a 1-bedroom, but it's completely interior or has a low exposure. We have 3 of those that can constitute a unit type. And of course, not each time we will have groupings. Here we do need, in this example, we do need a common area unit type, and it's just a single space. But it's different than the other ones and might not only have different starting conditions, but also receive a different treatment, a different improvement, or not receive an improvement at all. So that is a differentiation that needs to be done. And then all the calculations again happen at this level. All the improvements are calculated at this level, and then all the savings are rolled up to the building to get that whole picture and the parametric picture at the same time. Of course, larger buildings often mean more unit types, but could also be just more units, in that the same unit types are just grouping more and more units if the variation is not so significant. And then what this means is combining different unit types provides a way to create different geometric structures, distributions of multifamily buildings, right? From 2 to n stories, buildings that have or don't have a corridor, that may have or may not have an attic, whether the attic is unvented or vented, or living space, whether there are below grade living spaces or common spaces. All these variations are accounted for by combining different unit types. There's also one can be creative in a way that it could represent these kinds of buildings as well. It's about using the forms to allocate the areas and the boundary conditions and the adjacency characteristics between the unit types in a way they represent what we want. Okay, so that was the theory. Of course, let's dive into what the workflow looks like. There are 2 types of users. As a Tridali, you will essentially be a contractor level user. So you can edit data in Compass. You can run run calculations and savings. You can generate building and project level reports. You can submit projects for review, and you have access to your assessments in a post incentive phase as well. You'll always have access to the sites and projects your contracting company is providing you. And then, well, just a quick note on the director level is the director can do all that plus more additional management features, but that we will not enter into so much detail regarding that in this presentation. But the director level essentially also enters in the approval part of the submission. If needed, it can be done in Compass as well. So this is the whole process that we will be navigating today. You see there are some red and green lights there, just because there's a potential cycling the process upon certain validations. Those specific sections are meant to be are meant to make that decision. So you see first there's the customer enrollment. There's some pre-tool work that it's very highly recommended. Then you go down to the tool to enter the existing conditions at whole building level and unit type level. and then enter the improvements again at whole building level and unit type level. You'll see that structure throughout the workflow, right? So we first set the existing conditions, whole building level, unit type level, and then go to improvement side, whole building level, unit type level. That's always a recommended approach. And yeah, you go down this bucket and then you go up and continue, right? To validate and run the model. Hopefully, there's not much troubleshooting you need to do if or if any revisions to the proposed measures is needed. That would also be a case in which okay, you go back and see your inputs, right? But if not, you can start the generating reports, seeing what's spit out from the simulations of the measures you selected. There's a full stack of QA reports you can use to that sake. So we'll see that as well. The multifamily QA report, site QH usage and loads report, and site annual energy cost reports. This can either work as a final reporting or as a means to understand what's happening with the measures we are providing and whether or not we want to reassess something. This is a cycle we can, okay, if we're not perfectly okay with it, we can go back, do any of the steps of the tool work phase and go again and run again, validate. Okay, looks okay. It's what I'm looking to for my proposal. I continue. And for heat pump, so the workflow has the embedded idea of the envelope first approach. So if you are planning to add a heat pump, the recommendation is that first you run a model with the general characteristics of your building, and if there's any other improvement envelope and before the heat pump that could impact the building load sizing. Once that is okay, if you have a heat pump, if you are not specifying a heat pump, it's just a deep retrofit for the envelope, then that's okay. You can process the assessment, right? But if you do have or you want to specify heat pump, or you see an opportunity to specify heat pump based on the energy and load outputs you're seeing, then you go back to the input side of things, right? To the tool work. You add the heat pump. There's a special inputs and there's a way to add that equipment. You add that spec you want and rerun. So that's the process there. And we will cover it phase by phase, right? So enrolling the customer really is just about going to Compass. And first, I'll show you the very quickly the steps here as an overall before we go into the tool. So no worries, we will see these same steps on a demo fashion. But yes, enrolling the customer is just about using your credentials provided by director often to log in into the tool. You would be prompted into the dashboard. This is a dashboard, right? Can be used for general oversee of what projects you are assigned to or are of interest for your scope of work. But to start from scratch, you just enroll a customer. It's also important to talk about the program documentation button here, as this contains the user guide and a very useful template that you can use for your building creation. So advisors, go there, download the documents, even before enrolling a customer if it's the first time you're doing it. So you have a reference of the different things you will see. But yes, the dashboard just shows you an overview of the projects, and there's different stages in which they are. But we want to go and enroll a customer. Yeah, this was two pieces of documentation, very important, that you just need to open and download. And then if you click on enroll customer, you would be prompted with this add site fields. Very easy. Just the general information about the site in which a building is located. Red stars there are minimum required fields, so you won't be able to continue if you don't include at least those. Zip code is especially important as it locates the project into the closest weather station available for that zip code, and that uh, helps the simulation select the correct weather file. So some per tool work always good to have is talk with the customer, try to define your scope, what type of measures are of main interest, gather all documentation available to understand the minimum inputs and data points you need for campus work in terms of the different scopes you will cover. Now we can, once you do that, ideally you have a better understanding of what the building looks like, what the measures of interest are, or just really have an overall picture to go into a full comprehensive assessment. I'll show you very quickly what's the layout in the UI. So before just going and clicking on everything, there's some things you can know already and have at hand to have an easier navigation experience. So the left, when you create a site, you will be prompted into this building overview page. You will see the name that you assign to that site, the main information input fields up on top, and then this left section is all about defining existing building conditions, both at whole building level and at unit type level. The right side, on the other on the other side, it's about defining improvements. So all the projects, jobs, all improvements scope is gonna be defined there. We also have a general building navigation menu on the top that essentially mirrors the different functions that you will find below. Right, so you see unit types, which is also down here, HVAC units, projects, and reports, with all which speak to the improvement side. So just different ways you can access the different features of the tool when you are navigating it. And the site navigation menu is the highest level, and will take you out of your project in case you want to go to a different project or site, or yeah, it will allow you to manage the batch of projects you are involved in. So if you are working on a specific site, you wouldn't be using that too much. You would be using either the building navigation menu up here, or whatever is prompted to you down the menu. The only place in which you can access all the different features is this building overview page, to which you can always return by clicking on the blue ribbon with the name of your site. Okay, so to enter the existing conditions, first at whole building level, you use those tabs there. Those first tabs are all about whole building existing conditions. And you just go to edit site and you'll see the different fields that you need to cover. Some of them again are required, some of them are not. But general advice is yeah, just fill out as many as possible. So they scope site information, envelope information, existing system information, right, and existing appliances. Those are the main sections. For each of these fields, you can hover over the box, and you'll find a tooltip that tells you briefly what's that input about, and if you need further understanding of it, all these are described in the user guide in the existing conditions section. And we will see that when at the point when we're demoing, but these are the main sections. And then we need to define the unit type level, right? For the unit type, for unit type creation, you must be thinking, yeah, there's probably going to be cases in which there are several or many unit types I need to create. So the tool provides a way to import in bulk all those unit types, all that unit type information. In a way, you avoid creating them one by one. Of course, there's a way to create them manually one by one if that's needed. But this will expedite that process. And the way that's done, that's the first thing I'm gonna explain to you, is there's this building file section in which you can upload that import template that will parse all the unit types into the interface. If not, you have the unit type button here or the unit type menu on the navigation, right? Once, if you do the first thing, which is importing the bulk template, then immediately after that, you would be able to see all the unit types you created here, just hovering over the unit type button, as well as going to view unit types down here on the unit type section. Um, so that exactly that. The view unit type button would be enabled. That would mean you have previously created unit types. So you can either list them there or list them here. By clicking on any of those, you would go to the list of unit types. But if you are creating them manually, and these same fields are the fields you will need to fill out in the bulk import template, if doing so, you would be prompted with the whole list, the form, the so-called form that will allow you to create the unit type, and you would select the unit type here and provide these as required to define that unit type. So feels like condition floor area, number of units, if you want to account for more than one of those unit types in a multiplier fashion. The unit type number of stories above grade, if there's a double height situation of some sort. Generally, if the story is an average height across the building, this would be one, right? Number of bedrooms and bathrooms will apply if we're talking about living spaces, and all these other things we'll talk about in more detail. But it's essentially defining what's below and what's above, in what amount of area is above and below, and connected to what type of surface, right? So the ceiling could be either connected to an attic or to another conditioned space or to outside, right? And floor in the same way could be connected to a foundation, to a conditioned space, or to the ground here, right? To the outside is the ground. Number of exterior doors, if there are any, and then defining the exposed perimeter of the unit type, as well as the floor ceiling height and whether that unit is conditioned, heated, cooled, or both.
Hey, Esteban, I just wanted to step in quickly here and just give a reminder that we are planning to take a break at 11:30. So just a pacing reminder there. So everybody will be taking a break at 11:30. Thank you. Back to you, Esteban.
Yes, so once we create the unit types, either manually inside the tool or importing the bulk template, we would see a summary as this when we list all the previously created unit types, which essentially allows us to see what's there, what are the surface connections for floors and ceilings, and whether are any of these unit types multiplied. In this specific case, you can see there's no multiplier, so there's one of each only. This is a small building. And then for improvements, right side of the building overview page, to create jobs, projects, any improvements, one can use either of those two buttons. Add job or list the projects and create projects in the navigation menu. When you do the bulk import method for the unit types, those projects are automatically created and associated with the unit types. So that's very, very helpful. And what I mean is this. When you create a project, you need to assign it to either a unit type or to the whole building. There's going to be only one whole building project per building, and there's going to be one unit type project per unit type. So all the unit types you create need to have a job associated, but only one whole building will be required for any amount of unit types you have. This is what I mean. When you create jobs, you'll see just one for multifamily whole building and one for each unit type. This is showing the manual procedure. So you would need to go to add projects and then ensure the unit types are associated with the previously, the multifamily unit type jobs are associated with the unit type in the existing building setup. This is not the case. This is not the case when you do the import process, the bulk import process. You would just go here and see the associations. The associations are done through that import process. But let's say you did that, and after the fact you want to add an extra project, then you can go here, add project, and just ensure if that's a unit type project, it's associated with a unit type. If it's including the whole building, you don't need to add anything else. Generally, when you add a project like this manually, you need to start. When you open the project, you have this green button, assessment. You need to click on that button to start the assessment. This is very important because only after starting the assessment you see the means of adding the measures. So you create the instance of a job and you start the assessment, and you need to fill out some very basic information about the assessment, which is essentially the date of the on-site assessment and an assessment analyst. And after that, you'll be prompted to the main page. But if you're creating the thing for the first time, you'll see all the all the fields that are related to the assessment. This is the whole building assessment. Again, we're starting with the whole building assessment. So the whole building assessment again covers all the envelope packages. So you'll see fields for attic floors, attic surfaces, wall, foundations, all these regarding the improvements for the whole building. When you continue after filling out those inputs, or when revisiting any of your project's whole building assessment, you would see these fields. The basic data, which contains all the improvement related adjustments for the envelope packages. You can see what's there just by opening the drop down. You will see what you have assigned, what's currently assigned. And then scrolling down to the proposed improvement sections, you will be able to add the equipment and appliance type of improvements. You see there are hot water, ventilation, and other heat pump there. So first envelope packages, and then equipment and appliances at the whole building level. Same process is for unit types. So again, these shots are trying to depict the manual creation process. So once you create I'll go back very quickly. Once you create the multifamily whole building project and you preset whatever information you need there for the improvement, you would go back and create the multifamily unit type projects. You would set the status of those projects. You would start the assessment and fill out the information applicable to the unit type levels. That for the envelope packages is windows and doors. That HVAC thing is also to cover the heat pump installment. You need to check that box if that specific unit type will include at that point an HVAC heat pump. The page looks really similar, but you can see the the tabs there are quite a few less, just because the unit type only covers windows and doors and HVAC heat pumps. And then you're ready at that point. So next thing will be validate and run the model. But so far we've covered the input side of things, right? And we're ready. I think we're ready to go into the demo. So that will happen after a quick break. I think we are just a minute away of that break. But what will happen after that is we'll talk about the outputs in the same fashion. What are the steps? What are the reports out there that you can use to QA your process? And in the same way, after that, we can demo the output side. But so far, we've just seen the inputs.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Esteban. Much appreciated. So what we'll be doing now is we'll be stepping away for another 5-minute break, and we'll be returning at 11:35. So please feel free to take a step away from the computer, stretch, get refreshed. There's still about an hour left to the training at this point. As a reminder, please feel free to submit questions in the chat throughout the session. As you have the questions, we will address them there and then verbally address them at the end of the session. Thank you, everybody, and enjoy your break. All right, everybody should be starting to trickle back in here. Esteban, are you back to your desk as well?
Yes.
Awesome. Then let's give it another minute, Esteban, and we'll pass it over to you to get things started again.
All right.
All right, Esteban, let's get everything started back up again.
Okay. So, as mentioned, it's time for demo. It's very quickly. It's kind of weird. Okay. So now I am at the login of the tool. Using my contractor user provided and my password. I go in and this is a dashboard. I see the projects that I have been working on or are assigned to, and I can always use the dashboard button to go back. So I would use first, before enrolling, program documentation. I would download the Compass user guide. You can just download it somewhere. Right. Well, this is a guide very quickly. It's a very, very extensive document. All the details about the input fields, assumptions, underlying the drop downs on the input side, approach explanation, all is here. So very, very useful document to have at hand. I will not download it actually because I have it, but what I would need to always download is this bulk import template. I'll just download the files. There you go. Now I have that. You can close it. You can also close program documentation, right? Enroll customer. So yeah, it's just a demo. So demo 1, 2, 3. The zip code being the important piece there. It's gonna assign to that weather station and that county. You specify the contact, email, and the owner. Save and continue. And now I am at the building overview page. So again, right side, these tabs for existing building, whole building level creation, unit types over here for unit type level creation, building files. This is where I can upload the multifamily unit type creation bulk import template. If I open this, I'll see they're empty because I haven't filled any information. I just go to edit site and I'll start populating all these fields. So primary construction area, all that stuff. For the sake of time, I actually have a pre-filled example I will show you. But I wanted to show the tooltips here for each of the fields if you need a little bit like quick guidance. Red stars are required fields, so building neighbors, shielding, infiltration. As you can see, some of these fields are not numeric but qualitative. And there's a modeling technical assumption underlying in the values shown here. But this allows the user just to select one of those scenarios, and the assumptions are part of that standardized simulation approach. So you don't need to worry a lot about those assumptions. That's kind of the streamlined process. So that for sorry, envelope is the bigger section, as you can see. Window to wall ratio, exterior wall construction. This is important to set the package ordering. Remember, either wood or masonry. The existing attic, the existing foundation, whether that's conditioned, unconditioned, cold or warm, so a slab on grade or a crawl space, vented or unvented. The door type, the predominant door type, just defined in terms of that. Window to wall ratios, same for all the orientations. Then just start filling out each surface type insulation state. So is there attic insulation, partial attic insulation or not? What percentage of that area is already insulated to a degree that's not going to be scoped for improvement? What's the R value of the areas that cannot be insulated? That's also specified here. This is all user exposed. Same for walls, whether there's a partial insulation state or just defaults to poorly insulated. But either partial or poorly insulated walls are part of the scope, as we saw on that little Venn diagram. Same, this is same for all foundation, ceilings and floors, roofs, and attic surfaces, gable walls and knee walls, if applicable. If you don't really have a Cape Cod situation, that's not relevant. You can fill out with zeros. So how this would look like for an example that we will see, I would just like you to show. Okay, so this kind of thing. So the years, no neighbors, general footprint by length and width. This building has attic knee walls. Yes, that means there's some attic living space, most probably. The attic is vented. The foundation is a cold and conditioned basement. This is a masonry. Windows are single pane. Window wall ratio is medium. The description here about the in scope and out of scope areas. There's not going to be any insulation improvement to the attics because 100% is already fully insulated or up to code, right? Not the same for the walls here. Only 5% is already up to code, and there's some portion that's not going to be possible to insulate. But what is going to be insulated is defined at the improvement level, so we don't need to worry about that at this point. Just what is already insulated and what cannot be insulated. That indirectly defines the amount of area that can be insulated. That's the way this works. So ceiling, yeah, there's also a potential there to be for insulation. Only 10% is up to code or already insulated. Same for roof, there are opportunities there, right? And then systems, this is using a heating system, primary heating system, which is a non-condensing boiler with fuel oil. It's locating the foundation. The system serves in unit distribution level. There's no secondary heating fuel. The primary cooling system is a room AC. And all this kind of stuff. Assuming we've gone through this list of items, right? So HVAC systems, hot water systems, and ventilation. That's the order in which this big section of existing system is displayed. and then appliances. We can save and continue. And the unit types, again, ideally we would just import a file. So I'll show you what the process is in our demo. Okay, so I've also pre-filled a spreadsheet import, which I will upload. Let me show you what that is. This is a spreadsheet that we previously downloaded. I pre-fill it so that we create these 4 units. I have an above grade living space, living unit attic with knee walls in the attic, a second floor unit that's also just an above grade living space, and I have a stairwell, which is a different type of unit. It's a corridor. The internal load and the use of the space will of course be different. So that's the differentiation. And then all the fields here are as we would see over here. So if I add a unit type, these same fields are the ones that I need to fill in the spreadsheet, but row-wise instead of vertically like this here displayed. So name a unit, right? Unit. I can choose from common area, central laundry, living space, whether that's below or above grade or in the attic. You'll see, depending on what you choose, the input selection changes slightly. Not all of the fields are applicable to the same unit type. But most importantly, we need to define all this because this is the way the model can be done in a precise way without having to create 3D geometry and all that stuff. So condition floor area, number of units, this is going to multiply that unit type in the scale needed. If there's similar units, unit type number of stories above grade. So you can do up to a 3 height story for that unit type. Number of bedrooms up to 5, number of bathrooms up to 3. That will scale up the usage of different services of that unit type as they relate to water and energy consumption. Foundation connections, here we have different options depending on where the unit type is located, right? So it can have another PDU below or another apartment or a conditioned basement, or it's a slab unit, so it's on the slab, or it can be underground, right? So it won't have any foundation because it's within the foundation. These are just descriptors of what's that condition below the unit type. Same here in terms of area. So this allows the user to manipulate the geometry a bit if there are any scenarios in which the unit types are not perfectly stacked. And there's just differences in the floor plans as the building grows up. This allows you to do that. So ceilings areas connected to different type of spaces. You can have zeros here if there's not such situation. Exterior doors, and very important, well, the same is going to be for ceiling and floors, as those areas are assigned to different types of surface above or below, respectively. And then very important to define the perimeters, exposed perimeters on each facade of the unit type, right? So this defines whether the unit type is on the east corner or on the west corner, or if it's just an internal room, right? It won't have any exposure, any perimeter exposed, or it might have just a tiny bit if it's a corridor, all that stuff. and then just selecting if whether the building is conditioned or not, and it's just heated or heated and cooled. This is what we see here, right? All those fields, the floor connections, the ceiling connections, the exposed perimeters, the number of bedrooms and bathrooms, number of units. I don't have any multiplication here, just a single unit for each of those. Conditioning, heated only, one of those rooms is heated and cooled, and unit type source upgrade. This one has two, because this is a stairwell that spans from the ground floor up to the top. That's what that's trying to say. I actually have this is the example we are seeing, just for your visualization. You see, so we have all those four unit types. We have a little bit of basement. We have a stair that spans 2 stories. We have a living space in the attic. Okay. And so, but I'm not trying to do it manually, right? So I'll cancel this process. And I'll add the file here. Choose my file here. Once I see the name there, I upload. And there you go. So now I see this green button enabled. I can view the unit types here, but I often like to see them more here, because if I just hover, I will see all those guys are created, and I can just click on there, and I'll be directed to the list we talked about before. I can use the view unit button here to see what's inside there on a unit by unit basis. I can change the unit I'm watching with this little drop down on the top right corner, and I can edit any of those. I can go inside and edit any of those. But just the list already gives me kind of a picture of what's happening for my whole building. Okay, so that's kind of step 2. When so just recapping a little bit here, we defined all the whole building existing conditions in this first section, the left upper section, sorry. And then we uploaded the unit types, and we should be able to see them here. This is exactly the same example, just pre-filled. So we see those there. And so we have all our all our existing building information, both at whole building level and unit type level, set up. And now we can move to the improvement section, which is the right side. Okay, so give me a second while I return back to rehearse the steps. So now we are here. We've covered the inputs. We see what that looks like. We're ready to start running really and getting output reports to QA the inputs, as well as see how the different packages behave, right? And then we will answer the question whether or not we want a heat pump. For this tutorial, of course, we will want a heat pump, just to show you how that's added to the inputs. That happens at the unit type level, enter site improvements at unit type level, and then we can rerun. But yes, first we need to see the improvement side. So again, improvement side can be accessed through viewing jobs if you have previously created jobs, or add job here, or on the project button up here. When we uploaded the bulk import template, all these instances were automatically created and assigned. So how that looks like, if you just click on projects, you would see a single project for the multifamily whole building and one project per each unit type. And you can verify here they are assigned to the previously created unit types. So one for the stairwell, one for the second floor, one for the first floor, one for the attic. The one we care about first, always in the order of things, is for whole building level first, then unit type level. So if we see the whole building project, and if it's not yet started, in the status here, you can see all our projects are started. But when you're creating a project manually, and that would necessarily be for a unit type because I already have created the whole building project, I need to start the assessment, and I need to assign a unit type to this project. So I'll do it for the stairwell, right? And I need to start the assessment to be able to see, to add the improvements, both the envelope and equipment appliances. But if I don't do that, and if I just list the projects again, you would see this, right? I just have created this project. It's assigned to the stairwell as well, but it's just enrolled. It's not started. So I need to start that assessment to add my improvements. And another comment to do is you'll see now I have 2 projects assigned to the stairwell, and that's fine. That only means that for any reason I might want to split how I'm assigning work to that unit type. Maybe it's because I'm working in phases, right? But at least you cannot have a unit type job unassociated. Every unit type you create needs at least one job, whether or not you are doing a large scope or not. That's a requirement for the simulation. So if I click here on the green arrow, I will be prompted again to this project details tab, and I need to start the assessment here. The same doesn't happen for the projects that are already in assessment started. You see here, I just start the assessment, and then I'm able to input all this information. The minimum information I need to input is the date and the analyst, right? And now I'm able to edit the envelope, measured data, and the improvements. When I click on a previously created project or created through the bulk import process, it's already started. So if I click on the green arrow, I will be directly thrown into the main page of that assessment, and same fields here. I see what's already there, and if there are any equipment appliance level improvements, that would be heat pumps. There's none here. Okay, so just wanted to make that clarification, and I'll delete this because I just wanted to show you the difference between doing it manually versus doing it with the import process. So this is what came through. Removing this guy here, this is what came through the import process. And so first we go to the multifamily whole building project. And we see first section, basic data, contains all the area allocation and R value selection for the different groups of envelope surfaces. And that speaks to what areas are going to be improved. So here I can see what's previously filled. But if I were just to input it for the first time, I would, when I open the project, I would be prompted to this tab, edit assessment, and then start saying what amount in percentage of area for the attic floors is going to be improved. Well, No attic floor improvement. Okay, it's fine. There's an R value here, just in case. This is more like a reference. It's something you can do if at the point you are filling it out for the first time, you're not completely sure that you want to do that improvement, but you may at some point. So when you go back, you just need to reallocate some area here, but you already have kind of a value to which you would like to improve. And this total attic floor area is for QA as well. So that is a way the tool can capture the totals for each surface type and compare it to the areas inferred from the unit type creation process. And that allows you to check if anything is off, uh, to see where is off, right? If you have an idea of the totals, it's easier to identify if when you were creating the unit types, one of the takeoffs was not done correctly. So yeah, so you allocate the percentage of areas to be improved, and the R values of the improved R values for that type of surface. Same for roofs here, same for all the surfaces associated with the attic, if applicable. In this case, they are, as we saw. So there's some gable walls, there's some knee walls to be improved. The value to be improved is user entered. The walls, of course, as well. You remember we had a 10% that was already insulated. Well, the other 90% in this specific scope is meant to be put up to an R19. Foundations, and again, yeah, all these for the envelope packages. This section here is for reporting only, so it doesn't really matter too much what package you select here. It's just a way that the contractor can also have a quick marker on what they are aiming for once they compare the scenarios. And if there's going to be any heat pump work at some point, these inputs are important as well. In this specific scenario, we're showing the envelope analysis first and then adding the heat pump. So it is a comprehensive retrofit that includes heat pump. That's why I have pre-filled the HVAC design details. And for the proposed improvement side, I also added on top some things just to see how they interact with my envelope packages. And just to show you how those are added, I go here to add improvement. I have categories here for hot water, kitchen, and ventilation. Right, for hot water, those 3 options. For kitchen, the fridge, and for ventilation, these inputs that allow me to align with ventilation requirements. CFMs, powers, CFMs, and recovery factors for HRV. But I already have some of the measures there, right? So I'll just go ahead and run the model. Let me also show you first the unit type projects. You will see they don't have anything regarding heat pump just yet, because I want to see how the envelope work impacts my energy consumption and load before adding anything. Right, so I do have the description for the windows. I want to improve a couple of them. Actually, I'm going to improve all the windows, right? I have the total number of windows, and the number of improved windows is the same. It behaves exactly the same. In edit data, you go inside and edit any of this. Windows are just defined briefly in average area and a number in each orientation. So this just lets you set how many windows are there on each orientation and how many of those are improved and to what degree in terms of solar heat gain coefficient and U factor. All right, so all of these should look similar, right? They will have the different amount of window. They can have different amount of windows or not. They can have different amount of improved windows as well. In this example, as you can see, the improvement level at least is the same. For those two unit types, it's just kind of typical. If you're improving the windows, you might as well do it all the way through to handle a more uniform envelope. And for calculating, the recalculate button is available in any of the projects and it works exactly the same. This is just a way that you don't need to go to a specific project or a place to run the model. You have that button available in any of the projects, either at whole building level or at anywhere you are here in any of the, you need to be inside one of the projects, but it doesn't matter which one you choose. You can always hit recalculate. So just do that. Calculations in progress will tell you that something's happening.
Actually, just one more. At a quick break here. I just wanted to give a reminder that we will be going to questions at 12:20, so about 13 minutes till we step into questions.
Okay, thanks, Phil. While we wait here, I can tell you. You see this tab here, HVAC units. That's where we will create our specific HVAC equipment that we will later assign to the unit types, right? In trying to follow. Oh, so that's calculations complete. And what that means is I can generate reports now. So if I see the reports tab here, I'll go to the site reports. This is all the deck that's possible to generate. As you can see here, you have the East export report. At any point, you can export that and pass it into East, whether that's before you add the heat pump or after the fact. You will see what measures are currently modeled at any stage you desire. So multifamily QA report is a summary of all the inputs we have put here in Compass in the different tabs. It's just a way to centralize all the inputs. Looks something like this. You see, so the summary is really just the general building information, all the existing building fields at the whole building level, right? All these are at the whole building level, all that's there. Quick way to check what's what's used by the simulation, right? And then component dimensions is just some internal calculation based on the inputs above and also on the inputs below. the inputs below you'll see are all the unit type level inputs, existing building, unit type level inputs. So a summary of that spreadsheet we uploaded with some transformations applied given the general inputs at the whole building level. So any percentage we said here, it was supposed to be already insulated or have a specific R value. Or so the way this works is that the whole building inputs speak to the unit type inputs. They um, apply any factors needed to all the applicable unit types. So this is really a combination of the spreadsheet we imported and what we said about the general building. But you will see what that throughout and what's being parsed into the simulation. And then this enter versus calculated is just a quick QA check for the totals we inputted at the improvement level versus what's calculated from the unit type inputs. And in the details, you'll see all the improvement information, again, both at whole building level. These were all our inputs, and at unit type level, this is what is going to go into the model. This is very, very detailed information, but it will give you the detail, any detail you need to understand what's going into the simulation for all your unit types. So very useful, especially when you're troubleshooting. And then that's input wise. Now output wise, we have these three. First, I would go to the site QA usage and load report. Because it doesn't have costs. It's just in the energy saving level. I don't know if there's some kind of lag there. Oh, there you go. So this provides a general breakdown of the energy use per end use for all three packages and the base building. So this is what I was telling you, why the packages are there, whether we're scoping all the measures that they include or not. They are aiming to show you how the improvements progress in that load reduction order. Of course, if you just used if as much as the package scope remains the same, there'll be less difference. You'll just see that package one, again, and you can refer to the table that I showed earlier. There's simply things that they're not covered here. For example, windows and doors. So you won't see the impact of improving windows and doors here. You would see that the only package that include the impact of all the possible envelope measures is the package tree. And you'll have some graphics here as well, just to see how that progress and see what's moving the needle more than other thing in terms of end uses, because all these measures interact, right? And then you have a tab for each of the scenarios, base building, package 1, 2, and 3, to see what the loads look like, cooling and sensible loads, for different elements of the building that impact the load. In here we can see the different surfaces for the different units, for all the different units, and what's the load they are putting in the sizing, the thermal sizing of the building. So that's what that is. And then finally, we also have the cost side of that. and it's generating. But you see there are two of these. One is simply called energy cost. One is called energy cost with heat pump. So that's the report we want to see if we have added a heat pump as well. That will be similar, just showing the comparison of cost by end use of all the scenarios, but with a heat pump applied to all those scenarios. While that generates, I'll show you how to create an HVAC unit. Because let's say, given what we've seen on the reports, on the load reports, and what we have observed from the end users, we then see an opportunity for reducing the fuel consumption that's attributed to heating or cooling or water heating or a fuel switch. What would be the impact of a fuel switch? Right now, if you recall, the water heating systems of this example are consuming fuel oil. So what happens if we just do the heat pump and electrify it in an electrification scope? Very quickly, this is the cost report. So very similar graphs piling up end uses and comparing existing building versus package 1, 2, and 3. There you have a little description of what's scoped, what's the difference, different scope in each package, the scope that is added on top of the previous one for each package, and the costs for each of those, total savings in energy, percentage, and cost. So this is for the cost analysis side of things, right? But yes, if then okay, we maybe have an opportunity if we do field switching, because yeah, like heating heating is quite impactful in for this project. So we would go to HVAC units now, and we can add an HVAC unit. As you can see here, I have created two examples to show you how that works. But you can also do that. Again, you can return to the, with the blue ribbon, you can return to the main page. And you also have a section here for HVAC units. You can view previously created or add an HVAC, same as you do for projects or unit types. And you can use this menu as well. I like to use this menu, as you can see. So yeah, I can add a heat pump here. I can call it whatever I want. Heat pump 1. I need to choose whether that's ducted or ductless. Let's say it's a ducted heat pump for now. And then I have this amazing way to look for specific equipment using the HRI certificate numbers. If I know it a priori, I'll just input it here. But if not, I can search in the database. This connects directly to NIP database. So there's lots and lots of equipment you can choose from, you can filter from. I can just use the search button here. I'll be prompted to this page in which I can filter somehow by either unit type, ducting configuration, manufacturer. That's useful because it's simply a lot of data. So let's say I want to do a train. I just want to see the trains for now, right? And let's see ductor indoor units and the single zone ducted, compact ducted. Okay, there's no equipment as such. Let's just limit it to that. Ducted indoor units. So I have all of these to choose, right? And depending on what my sizing looks like for the different units, I'll select what I need, right? I have the capacities here at these rating conditions, the efficiencies, all that. So I just need to select that number, and that's that. It will parse it automatically, save and add HVAC, save and add HVAC. And this allow me to keep creating units, right? Because in the general sense, I might need one for each of the unit types if I'm scoping all the building. But that's not required. I can just add the heat pump to a specific unit and to others not necessarily. So I can go here and list the different unit HVACs I created. And this is essentially a list from where I will be able to choose to add improvement at the unit type level. So if I list my unit types here in projects, my unit type improvements, let's say for the second floor unit, I want to add one of those HVACs, right? So I'll go to add improvement, HVAC install heat pump. Some cost there can be allocated, right? More like that. And then I select one of the previously created HVAC units. And once I do that, I save. I make sure I see the improvements on the proposed improvement side. And then I can rerun. I can rerun in that scenario in which I'm just adding that heat pump to that specific unit, or I can add heat pumps to all of the different unit type improvement projects. But if you want to see like very, very granularly how each of these impact the whole building savings and cost, then you would start adding them one by one, right? And for the sake of the example and time here, I can just rerun the calculation now. So what that is doing is enabling my new report, right? The energy cost report with heat pump. And also my usage and load reports will now talk about envelope packages plus heat pump. So I have that extra combination interaction of the heat pump with the improved envelope across all the packages.
All right, Esteban, we are at the 12:22 times. We're a little bit over the 12:20. How much longer do you think you'll need on this end? I want to make sure we do leave some time to get some questions from the attendees.
Yes. Yes, I mean, maybe we can. I'm about to show the new reports, but also, yeah, calculations completed. Yeah, maybe we can use a couple of minutes more and then we can go directly to questions. That makes sense.
Great. If you could wrap up for 12:25, I want to make sure we do leave at least 5 minutes for questions.
Yes, let's do that. Just quickly, I want to show you this other report. Well, that generates, we go back to the slide deck. Just to recap what we've seen so far, right? So QA reporting, I want to specify heat pump. That's what we saw that, right? Okay, I want a heat pump, so I add the heat pump, I rerun the model, and I can then process my assessment, right? Okay. All of these we've seen so far. So where the equipment appliance improvements are added at a whole building level, what reporting looks like, the multifamily QA, then the site QA and usage and loads report, then the site annual energy costs with and without heat pump. This is the with heat pump. You will see right here. Now the columns include it's a package plus a heat pump. So it will behave quite differently now that we have a fuel switch as compared with the existing building. You'll have the cost for that as well. And that's the cycle you need to go through, really, right? We saw what the multifamily QA report contains, mainly all the inputs that we did on Compass, Clarity Compass, right? And we will, again, we'll share this deck with you so you can navigate the process at your own pace. But yes, this is a process that's recommended to follow. So QA the inputs, QA the usage and loads, see if you need to or want to add a heat pump, add the heat pump, and rerun the calculations and generate the new reports with a heat pump. Here you create a heat pump, the heat pump, rerun, and you have these new reports that include the heat pump impact to your simulation. Okay, so yep, let me pass it. We can probably open the floor for questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Time.
Thank you very much, Esteban. I know we are a little bit short on time here, but I do want to leave time and we can stay a little bit over on our end to answer any questions that anybody may have. I do see we have one question in the chat, and if you would like to, please feel free to submit your questions into the chat function. Also, we are able to unmute you if you'd like to verbally ask your question as well. Please just raise your hand and we will get you to in the order that the hands are raised. So I will first verbally announce the response to Andrew's question in the chat. For properties with multiple buildings, are we filling out the whole building assessment section for each building separately, or will we be adding all calculations for each building together? So we've looked through and we've gotten a response back to this. For a Clarity Compass perspective, if buildings are of similar construction and size, HVAC and domestic hot water systems are of similar type and age, appliances are of similar type and age, and the improvements will be the same for all buildings, it could be entered as one site or building. The preference would be that once there is a project like this, that you contact the PSD team through the support tool and allow us to validate the impact of combining multiple buildings into one. We should validate the modeling in Clarity Compass by comparing outcomes entering it in as one building versus the separate buildings, and also validate the data model in the EAST tool as being handled as well.
And I mean, yeah, and to the point of questions as well, I do want to point out the help section of this tool. Probably I didn't spend as much time as should have. There's a help button out there in the top menu that you can go there, and it hosts a ticket system. So we're gonna support you throughout the process with those tickets. There's also a knowledge base that will grow throughout this process. We will start populating it based on the most frequent questions we see. We will provide further modeling guidance for these specific, more maybe not so straightforward projects. If there's a multi-building situation, if there's a complex building situation, how to do that. So your feedback is very, very important to us. You can go there as a means to inform the knowledge base as well. It's going to be a joint effort. So yes, what other questions do we have now? Okay. The property. Okay, that's what we just talked about. From a if buildings are similar construction and size.
Thank you, Eston. I do see another question from Andrew, and I will pass this one over to Pam. So Pam, in the past, we could not do projects in municipal electric areas. Will we be able to help properties in these areas now?
As long as either their gas or their electricity utility pays into the system's benefits charge, yes. So if they're receiving electricity from a local municipality, but gas from, say, National Grid, yes, we will be able to serve that project.
Thank you very much, Pam. Appreciate it.
Sure.
All right, great. If there are any more questions, again, please feel free to raise your hand or continue to post them in the chat. We will work now to wrap things up. I know we are at 12:30 here. I really do appreciate everybody taking their time to attend the call today. We will send a formal follow-up to this chat detailing the questions that have been asked, as well as sharing a recording of the session or a link to the recording of the session on our contractor webpage. If you do have any further questions, please feel free to reach out to either the PSD support listed here or to the multifamily program, multifamily programs at NYSERDA.ny.gov with any questions. I do see Michelle wants to state one more thing before the end of the call, so I'll pass it over to Michelle from PSD.
Hello. Just really to say this slide out loud, as we do need to know from each of the contracting companies the complete list of all of the usernames and email addresses that you want set up in the system. From that, we will add you to the system to actually get you access and get your credentials back out to you. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. So we will also add that reminder into the follow-up email along with the links where we'll need you to provide that information. So again, thank you everybody for the time. A reminder, we will be moving the East Tool session to December 22nd. And we look forward to talking to you all then. And if we do not talk to you then, have a great and happy holidays.
Thank you all for your time. Stay in touch.